Good evening, folks. On a week where we had the return of Martin Connolly, the return of the Singlee van, we also have the return of the Town End. Season 2, Episode 2. Welcome. Unfortunately, not the best of nights for Dundalk FC after falling victim to the dirty drugs in the Malone Cup. But to go over it, we have Chris.
You do.
Steph, and we have probably the person with the most knowledge out of the four of us, Ross. How's it going, lads?
All good. Steph's just going to smile for the rest.
Yeah, Steph's just going to smile. He's muted himself. I suppose we'll go to you, Chris. Seeing as he muted himself. You were up videoing the match. How did you feel like it went?
Now that we can hear Steph again, I'll say, Steph, we can also say it was freezing tonight. Am I right?
Oh, geez, that's what I said to him. I'm just defrosting my hands before I was able to get back on the laptop. Freezing.
Yeah, look, I think it was a decent run out. I think Stevie will probably get more from knowing about his team tonight than he would have out of any of the friendlies. It was a lot more competitive. A good run out. I think you can see there's definitely potential in some of the new signings. I think Bradley came in there as a substitute appearance and really lit up the game from a Dundalk perspective. I think, midfield might take a little bit to come together, but it was lovely seeing Robbie Benson back out there and really pulling the strings tonight.
Yeah, Steph, what do you think of it?
Yeah, I think Drogheda sort of surprised a little bit. I was sort of keeping an eye on the pre-season results and they've been quite good, but I was sort of taking that with a pinch of salt, thinking they've lost a lot and even losing the manager as well, like going on to Pats and taking a couple with him. But I was very surprised at them. They looked very sharp and right on it from the whistle. Again, we were just gelling. There was a few that sort of had glimpses of doing well in the first half. Williams in the middle played all right. Hoban looked really sharp and fit, and he was closing. His work rate was brilliant, and we struggled to create a little bit. And then, as Chris said, some of the substitutes really done well. I thought Bradley, 3 of our best moments came from him going on runs with the ball. He cut inside and got taken out at the edge of the box, and we had a free kick. Well, probably about 25 yards out, maybe. He went down the right, crossed the ball, which led to the goal as well. So I thought he was very bright. And then Doyle looked very composed on the ball, even in tight areas. He was always smart, kept the ball well. Yeah, look, it was like it's a pre-season game at the end of the day, but I think the bit of competitiveness when there's a cup at stake. You could see us getting going in the second half, but it was just a bit too late, and we gave away the clumsy penalty. I think Connolly just got caught napping a little bit. Leahy done quite well. I thought Leahy done quite well also.
Not so bad. And then I'm going to go to Ross now with the hard-hitting questions, because I only ask you lads the easy ones. So out of all the new players that you saw tonight, Ross, who do you think was which was the player that impressed you the most?
I think Bradley. Bradley, very good.
Yeah.
He's going down the wing loads, taking on defenders, won the free kick. Thought Leahy and Doyle and O'Kane were also very good.
Yeah, well, you thought the wing backs done all right, so there's no chance of your father getting re-signed this year, is there?
No.
Yeah, he's this is the Leahy fan club here beside me. He had that's what I'm going to tell you a wee funny story. So Zach came in from school today and he had like a Valentine's card, and Ross came in from school and he handed Sharon a piece of paper, and Sharon opened it up, thought it was a Valentine's card, and it was, Dara Leahy, please give me your jersey. You're better than Kavanagh. So he's in the Leahy fan club here, and we were sort of hanging about at the end of the game to see if we could see him, but he got injured and apparently he's away to see the doctor or away to the hospital or something. So look, hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, we'll start the campaign tonight to get you his jersey before the end of the season. All right, Ross?
Yeah,
and see if we
you'd
can
be
call in a
delighted
few
with that.
favours. I suppose that's a good opportunity now to say if anybody wants to vote for their Dundalk FC man in the match for tonight, there's a chance to win a pizza. I think Steph is there still, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
If there's
Pizzas
not,
are
Steph's
back.
got to pay for it. So,
No, actually, there's no pizza.
But obviously we'll probably get into this a little bit later on, but this was the first game of the new season, albeit it's a friendly game, but it's the first kind of chance for me to listen into a match, and it's strange to go back to that, after being blessed for the last year and a half of being able to watch matches, and it sounded like the atmosphere sounded great. So, Chris, was it great to have what seemed, at least from what I could hear, it sounded like it was an almost full Oriel Park. Is that fair to say? And the atmosphere seemed to lift the people. Like it was a little bit more than a friendly game from the support, from what I heard.
I think there was a really good attendance there tonight. The main stand looked pretty much full. A good bit all around in the shed and stuff like that. So like you say, for potentially it is a preseason friendly match, but it's it had a really good atmosphere. You could tell that, when I was coming up and I could see the traffic jam way down back at the Garda station on my way up, and I went, oh no, why did I leave it so late to get into the ground? But it was nice to see that, like everybody on the way up the Carrick Road and stuff like that. So it was good just to see people back out in the numbers like that to the match and stuff. And definitely, we had the old flares, the smoke and everything up in the gantry as per usual at the start of the match. So, it was a good atmosphere. And actually, the Drogheda fans brought a decent number tonight as well, just to help with, I suppose, the atmosphere there tonight. But no, it was good. It's good. Look, just good to be back at football again. To tell the truth, competitive matches with a full crowd there. It's without the doom and gloom of potential other owners being there, and we're not worrying about those off-field things anymore. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. No, as I say, even listening in, it was great to hear the singing going on for the most part during the match. Steph, what's your thought kind of on? Obviously, it's been a mixed bag of a pre-season. I think we've lost lost 2 or 3, and we've won 1. What's your thought now? It's probably pre-season is hard to read into these things, but I know even from some comments that I'm seeing and people I've talked to, there's already alarm bells going off. It's probably a bit premature to do that, isn't it?
Yeah, look, there's teams that can go through a pre-season and not win a game, and then you're thinking they're going to struggle, and as soon as the season starts, then it's game time and they lift their game. So, look, I sort of said we'd be in around the top 3, and I don't really think we'll be that far away from it, to be honest. I don't think we started with our strongest team. Like Andy Boyles played his first minutes of pre-season today, and he actually looked really good. He was calm, composed, and he didn't look out of place considering he's probably not match fit like he'd like to be. So look, himself and Connolly could form a great partnership there at the back, and once we get a bit of games under our belt, I think we'd be up and running. There's very good potential in that squad, a lot of young lads, but I just think, look, even looking at Bradley, obviously he's just come in the last wee while and he didn't start him, but when he came on, he made a massive difference. The likes of him and Adams on the other wing looks lively. Like there's shades of Michael Duffy there, and I don't think he's fit either. I don't think he's up to speed. I think it might just take us a couple of games to get into it. Just with bringing players in, even McCarry came in during the week, but he looked right up to it, considering he probably doesn't even know all the lads' names straight away yet. But no, I wouldn't be panicking just yet. I think there's a good base of a squad there, and like the likes of Benson and Boyle and Hoban, will just settle everyone down, and hopefully we can if we can get off to a decent start against Derry, you don't know where it'll take us.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. It's even like pre-season can be deceiving, can't it, Chris? Where last year our first episode was after the President's Cup when we bet Rovers after. I think that was the 3rd game, I think, in pre-season, and we bet them, and we looked pretty comfortable that night, for the most part, and we thought we were shoo-ins for the league. But Stephen has like it has been a big changeover of personnel for the squad. Pretty much an overhaul bar 4 or 5. It's going to take time, isn't it? It's going to take time to bed them in and for everyone to kind of find their groove together.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think Steph's touched on it there. For a lot of the players, a lot of especially the loanees have been sent over here to get minutes to play competitive football like this as well. So that's going to take them a while to adjust to the league as well. But Steph, you just mentioned Joe Adams there. I actually thought he had quite a good game tonight. Some good overlaps with Leahy on that side. You could see there's the basis of a real good partnership which could form there, and you could tell that only after one game with the two. But you probably heard it, Pingu, as well. But the two lads reference it on the commentary beside me. The set pieces, every corner free kick was like a different routine they'd run. There was players at the back post, there was players at the front post, there was a mix inside the box. It was quite refreshing, tell the truth, that it seemed like we'd a couple of things up our sleeves that we could potentially do. And when it comes set pieces towards, I think maybe people, because maybe Duffy was taking the majority of our set pieces previously, people probably knew how we were going to play this. Towards, it was a mixture between Benson taking corners, Adams taking corners, and Adams stood over 1 or 2 free kicks with little things in. Then Wardy came on. It was something different again. So you could see that he has a lot of, potential moves that he can make during a match that maybe we're not going to be as easily read maybe as we have been in other seasons. I don't know, but it was quite refreshing just to see that even though the game was quite competitive, that he was willing to try little things, and I suppose it's a trust in players that they can pull this off.
Yeah. Fair play to Eamon Collins there. The Singly Van's got 1 vote for man of the match. I think Singly Van's going to replace Chris Shields. Is it? It's an early chance to replace Chris Shields as the weekly man of the match nominee.
Yeah,
but no, it's good.
Just speaking on Adams, like Ross in the second half, Ross said to me, "Look, just watch his movement here," because he was over on our side second half in the turn end, and
he was getting into the space.
Yeah, he was dragging the defender inside, and then when we got in the ball,
getting inside.
Yeah, you tell him.
And when the ball's getting played, he wasn't getting played on. It was Leahy every single time. But
yeah, he was dragging the full back in, and then when we got wide, then he was pulling out the line and creating the space. So yeah, look, it could be a partnership that could prove very good for us.
Steph, you could be replaced here.
Yeah,
I think he's nudging me up. He's after asking me for the earphone.
Yeah, I don't think the camera's going to be more towards him than you now. Watch.
Yeah. I'm gonna start pulling it over. So he's already talked more sense to me, so yeah, I'm in trouble here.
Definitely. I think, Pingu, this is probably a good opportunity to bring in our guest tonight. What do you think?
Yeah.
I think over the course of the past couple of months, if not 18 months, I suppose at Dundalk, the one thing we've all called for is a lot more community involvement, and to really get into the community and start working with organisations and linking the club on its platform to different groups out there. So I think everybody has probably seen that the club has posted out in the past week that over the course of February, they're going to, I suppose, use their social media platforms to highlight issues in particular around domestic abuse, using Women's Aid in Dundalk as I suppose a beacon to female supporters, and maybe I suppose just raising awareness to across every sex as well. I think on this, someone who can speak much better on this than me is our super fan, and definitely one of our favorite guests that we like to bring on the pod straight in. We're only on a pre-season friendly, Jane, and you're straight back in again.
I know, it's terrible. It's bad. Hopefully, I'm getting it over with early in the season, Chris.
Exactly. Jane, I suppose before we get into a little bit the game tonight, I suppose the reason you're on here is just to talk us through where this initiative and what we were expecting to see from it. How did it all come about, Jane?
Well, it came about, Martin had made contact with Women's Aid Dundalk to say that the club would like to collaborate with the ladies, a charity, to bring some awareness and some fundraising, to raise some funds as well. I suppose it was triggered by unfortunate recent events in Ireland. We've all become more mindful of what's going on, and violence against women and domestic violence. So the club felt it was, they had, from the takeover, the big thing was focusing on was community side of things. We know with the team side, there's going to be rebuilding and there's going to be a lot of work there, but the community was a real, starting point for the takeover and the new owners, and they really wanted to get that back, because we all know about the disconnection that was there for the last 18 months. So that seems to be really, really important, which is great for, myself and Stephen in the roles that we're in. We love, that's music to our ears to hear these initiatives are coming on board, so it's great.
Yeah, look, and it's like you just say, it's probably an issue that in Ireland in particular that is at the forefront of everyone's minds for what's going to happen. What can we expect over the course of this month? Because we've already seen, I suppose part of this initiative is also highlighting maybe some of the female supporters, players, staff, that aspect of it. We've seen a little bit of those videos already. I suppose we might see some more, will we?
Yeah, well, there's two kind of angles we're going at here. It's to bring awareness to women's aid and domestic violence and violence against women and abuse against women. And the other side of it is to bring about the appreciation and to bring some appreciation and to highlight some of the wonderful women around Oriel Park, as you say, players, staff, volunteers, fans, because there are some amazing women, you look at Ailish Kelly there, she's the main woman up in Oriel Park. It's the first person you meet when you come into the club, and she does such an amazing job, like many other women, brilliant women around the club. So I think it's a great thing, especially, for myself being in the role, to see that appreciation, because we are obviously a male dominated environment. So it is great to see that. And there's been a great response from supporters about this. Even talking to a couple of fans tonight after the game, we kind of moved on from the game quickly, and we talked about that. So people are loving to see the community thing start, and this is the first of I would expect and hope many events.
Yeah, and I think it's important, linking up with Women's Aid as well in Dundalk. It highlights that as an avenue for information for people as well. But I think it's like you say, Dundalk and Oriel Park, it's a fantastic pedestal for the community, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And this is what we've been looking for over the past while, is to really use that to drive these important information drives like this.
Of course, and we had a very lengthy meeting, and myself and a couple of the other ladies, Orla Crowley and Anne O'Reilly, and we went down and we had a very lengthy meeting with some of the staff down in the Women's Aid and office, and they were just so delighted about the club coming to them, because this is, they want to get this information across to men. It's very, very important. Women, we talk about this all the time because it affects us, and it has affected people we know, our friends, our sisters, and even like I was thinking even tonight, the walk out of Oriel Park is so different for a woman than it is for a male supporter. For us, it's such a different walk back to your car or to get your lift, And I was coming out tonight actually, and a staff member came over to me and they're like, "Are you okay, Jane? Is your lift here?" And I said, "Oh, Dad's just behind me." And it's lovely to see that care is there in the community, and it's one of the reasons I would have always promoted even before the role about the community side of the club. We're like an extended family. We look out for each other, and it's lovely to see that, and we want women to feel safe around Oriel, and nobody wants. This is not an attack on men. This is just, unfortunately, it's always men, and it's to bring some education and just even about language. And it can start that simply, that what comes across as banter can kind of go to a dark side quite quickly, and it's just to be mindful of what you're saying. And look, nobody does, we know there's bans at football, and nobody wants to stop that, but just to be mindful of language used and how we treat people around us.
Yeah, I think it's a real quality you could take to any aspect of life as well. If you can just be more mindful to others and around you, it creates a better atmosphere for everybody. It's quite timely though, Jane, isn't it? This initiative from the club, and you think of the group that you are part of as well, with the Lily White Ladies all together. There's female involved in the other supporters club, and there's a real push and a real drive with some of the female supporters right there in all aspects of different avenues in the club. So it's a real great initiative to be behind, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great, Chris. And even like when we were called in, there was a group of female supporters kind of called in to be the core of this group and to get it up and running and to come up with ideas. And it's just, I think it's such a great thing, because we've kind of been handed over this project, I suppose, and it's an honor to work with such a great charity and a local charity. Like, I was talking to some of the women, like they had like 1,148 individual women contact them in Wednesday Dundalk last year. Like, that's a really high number. And obviously, with the pandemic, it made things an awful lot more difficult. They had 382 requests to get into emergency refuge, local refuge.
Yeah.
And these things are happening, and these things statistically have to be happening to women we know.
Yeah.
And it's and we want women around the club to know that there is support there and there is help for them, and women in the wider community of Dundalk, And I would hope to see as well that with us doing an initiative like this, that Oriel Park is a safe place, and we take care of each other in Oriel Park. We look after our supporters, whether you're male or female, but that women, particularly, as I said, about the walk to the car, it's a different walk for women, but that there are people there that will support you and look after you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just on that note, we'll make sure there's contact details in the comments and that for this show, just to Women's Aid in Dundalk. Just should anybody need to avail of their services and that, it's great there. And the fact that all the messages going out from the club, it has, the Twitter handle and stuff and the links there for Women's Aid in Dundalk. It's great. It's great publicity for them. It's probably reaching avenues that they normally wouldn't.
Exactly.
So
that's what they really felt about it, Chris, that they were getting out to an audience that they wouldn't have had the opportunity to get out to, And I would say, we had the pleasure of meeting a couple of the women that are working directly down there with them, but unfortunately the women that have to visit them, and they're just excellent. It would really put you at mind to say to someone, go if you need the help, go talk to these women, even if it's just for a chat. Take the first step. They're really, really good people. They really are, and they will support you as much as they can.
I think it's fantastic that the club's highlighting it. Like, it's, it is a big issue, and I think people sort of shy away from it a lot because it's something that nobody really wants to talk about. But if we can highlight that the help's out there, and if people can go and, like you said, make them feel comfortable that they can go and take the first steps, and that's probably a massive thing. And fair play to Dundalk and everyone involved for setting it up.
Yeah, no, it's an excellent addition, Steph, and it really is. It's just been a breath of fresh air being over at the club, even, and we've had meetings, and and everyone's on the same page, and we really want to get these things going, and we read the statements and we hear about community, but it really is it's so important. People now that are back in the club who previously would have worked very hard with the community, and that ethos is really there again, and it's great to see. You felt it tonight, even going into the game. You felt like you were going into a league game. It didn't feel like you were going into a Malone Cup. There was such a buzz coming in the gate. It was like going into a league game. It's brilliant.
On that point, then, Jane, to get back into Oriel with a big crowd like that again, with a sense of optimism for a change, it was a breath of fresh air tonight, wasn't it?
It really, really was. It was, Chris, and you know me, I'm the eternal optimist. Can't help it. And I thought we were unlucky tonight at the end.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I thought we were lucky. Did we deserve the win? But I thought we were unlucky at the end, But there's a couple of lads there now that I think are to be watched. I was lucky enough to get down to Waterford, and I'm very impressed with Adams. I think you were speaking about him, Steph, and I think he's definitely a man to watch.
Would you be optimistic about the season?
Yes, I would. I would be optimistic. I'm not going to say what I said last season. I think we have to be realistic now. We've a whole new management squad. Look, the buzz there tonight when we saw Stevie O'Donnell come out, it was like the Messiah had arrived. It was just, you could feel I said stand side, and you could physically feel the energy and the heat coming from the shed. That could have been the pyro had that, but you could feel the energy. It was just fantastic. It was really, really good. And I think he has to be given time. And look what he did at his previous club in one season. The man can do the job. We know he can do the job.
Coming from where we were, Jane, at the end of last year to now, I mean, we didn't think we would have so much of our club back. And you've been involved, I suppose, in the supporter liaison officer role within the club, and that must have been really challenging during the COVID times, where it was hard for supporters to have a link back to the club. Then when it's only a small group of fans able to come back, it's hard again, because there's people missing out. But to get back now tonight with a bigger crowd and all the optimism there, like you say, the change in the playing staff, the change in the admin parts and the ownership of the club, it must definitely make your role a little easier.
Yeah, look, it was a challenging season for everybody around, everybody, supporters. We all, whether you're in a role or not, you were heartbroken, and as I said, I'm an eternal optimist. And I got to a stage where I had to sit down and have a chat with myself and just say, Jane, you have to stop saying these things. It's a mess. you have to now, say it as it is. And look, it was very sad and it was very hard. But I said this before, we're a club of resilience. I never feared that we wouldn't come to the bright side. I didn't, I never said this is the end. I said we will come around, we will come back from this, and it was just, and COVID really didn't help at our role. But I would have to say, fans were really good. Even they would communicate with you through social media. You'd get a nod, you'd get a phone call. People did want to talk, and we're hoping this season we'd be able to be more that stuff, that we'd be able to physically, there's obviously a lot of fans that haven't maybe met myself and Stephen yet, that haven't physically got to meet us yet. So we will be working on organising that, because we like the club are saying, we're obviously a branch of that, and we're saying we want to work with the fans. We want to bring the fans in with us and tell us what we can do and what they need and what they want from us. I think that's very important. To listen to them and not to fob them off and say, yeah, we look into that. To really genuinely try and do the role the best we can.
So Jane, I suppose just for just on that point, so there's people who probably go to Oriel who are aware of your role, but maybe if they had issues or they had some advice or something they wanted to ask on. Yeah, I presume for yourself and Stephen, you're okay with being approached on match nights and things like that.
100%, yes. Please come over and say hello and have a chat. And if there's anything you'd like to discuss, of course. And the way it usually works, myself and Steve, and I'd be stand side and he's usually shed side. So, there's one of us on each side of the ground. That doesn't mean if you're shed side you can't talk to me or vice versa. But of course we want you to come and have a chat with us. Like, we try to mingle as much as we can. I'm a little bit more isolated where I sit with the games, but down to the wall at half time and say hello, no problem at all. Be delighted to have a chat, or we have email addresses as well. You can get them from us if you have any queries, of course. As I say, we liaise, it's in the title, and it's myself as well as the disability access officer role, a lot of ideas to work on that for this season as well, and to kind of integrate some of our supporters living with disabilities, to bring them more into the club and involve them in the club. So I think it's going to be a very positive year for that side of things.
Yeah. I would say, Jane, if anyone is looking for you, even a full-time, chances are when you do your laps around talking to everybody, there'll be an opportunity to chat to you at some stage.
You definitely. Like, I'm easily spotted, to be fair. I have a little bit of an advantage over Steve, and I'm easily spotted. So you can't lose. And if you don't see me, you'll hear me, to be fair.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, look, Jane, we've a full long season coming up, so there's bound to be lots of twists and turns. So I suppose whether it's in a role like this or there's anything else that yourself, Stephen, or the club want to come, like we always say, the platform is always here, and we just think this is brilliant initiative, to really kick off the season. The linking up with Women's Aid here. I'd love to see a lot more of this. I think there's a lot more clubs within the league who are doing things for, and you just mentioned there, for disabilities, for, I know there's the clubs do a lot for people who are hard of seeing and hearing and things like this. So there's extra stuff that clubs can do, whether that's things for people to keep them included in the club, So I think there's lots to do. And I'm sure you'll be fighting for a lot of those causes.
I will, of course. And I think I'm going to have a very receptive with the club this year, because it is now, and even as at questions and answers last night, and the word inclusion is being used, and it's a word I overuse myself sometimes, but it's a great word to hear. People living with disabilities love to hear it, because you're in the forefront of the thoughts of what's going ahead. So that's really important as well, and it's very positive. So, I think it'll settle on the pitch, and I think we'll have a good season. I think Europe's not out of the realms of possibilities. We'll take that. You can quote me on that one, Chris.
I thought you were coming on to dial down those expectations. Now we're on for Europe already.
Well, I didn't say a double, to be fair. That is me lowering my attack. That's me lowering expectations. I didn't say a double.
We just settled for the league.
Yeah, we'll just take the league. Nobody likes to be greedy,
No, true. There's other teams in this league.
Ross, I think your dad had serious competition for the podcast. You've done a great job. Well done.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll see you up in Oriel next week for the big one.
Yeah.
Even if I'm looking, he said he's going. So.
And even though we were beaten last night, I won't get involved in the family domestic. I'll stay out of that one.
Yeah.
I think even though even though the result didn't go our way tonight, I think there's still a great buzz, and we're all excited about getting in next week.
Yeah, we beat the reserves next week.
Dundalk won, we Dundalk too.
Shots fired.
So just to mention as well, there will be a lot of it will be running a lot of stuff this week. Gavin, I know, has been working very hard. He's a Trojan man, he's deadly. Getting emails from me every few minutes. But there'll be a lot of stuff going out this week, in relation to, there'll be videos going out and promotion and stuff and information on Women's Aid. And I see you shared it there as well. Thank you very much. When we keep, as they say, keep sharing, and hopefully we'll have a good season.
Very good.
On and off the
pitch. Jane, if we even take an ounce of your optimism, we'll be fine this season. Trust us. Jane, thanks so much. Like I say, the platform is always here for you again, and we love having you on.
And thank you very much for having me, lads.
Thanks, Jen.
No
That's
See you
all.
next
problem.
week.
Thank
On
you.
the time.
Thanks, Jane. I love Jane.
Don't tell your missus that.
No, well, she already knows. Don't worry. We're all right there. But just the optimism of her and everything else, just she's so infectious. And you could have her on all the time. You know,
Absolutely.
I think during the down times of last season, she was a joy to have on.
Yeah.
The one shining light.
From one shining eye, Pingu, to another. Have we announcement for everyone?
We do, yeah. Actually, Steph, we'll let you make the announcement. You're good at it, so we'll let Steph make it, will we?
Go for it,
He probably forgets what it is.
Yeah, he's going to ask you what it was. No, look, we've teamed up with Playoff Fit. Our good friend Carl O'Connor is sort of looking after us. So, I don't know if Chris is going to pull up this picture or not.
I thought we were going to have a real good intro from it all there.
No chance. Look, there it is. Look, thing of beauty. So it's gonna be chef's kiss. It's gonna be the most sought after gear in town. So, look, we're buzzing to get the gear ourselves, and we'll be wearing it with pride around Oriel Park and around town.
Yeah, so we'll include the shop link on all our socials and as part of the comments on the show here today. So these will be available through the shop with Player Fit. So they will be in men's, women's and kids sizes, all priced accordingly, I suppose. So we show a window there to say we'll see if we can get it back up again if there's an opportunity and people have missed out on it. But the stuff does look really good. Hopefully, lads, we'll all be kitted out in our own versions fairly soon.
Yeah, which one of you are paying for postage for mine?
Ooh.
I think
Cali, he's not here.
The two lads
Cali and Donald
obviously have to pull it up together.
But I think it's just worth telling people, obviously, to run the podcast and to do live episodes, it does cost a little bit of money. Not a lot, but there is a certain percentage of all sales will go towards the running cost of the town end and being able to run it live after matches. So if anybody wants to do it, wants to help us out a little bit, full disclosure, the Cav man doesn't get to look at any of the money, doesn't get his hands on anything. But of course, I'm the one that brings up that we do get something from it. But yeah, if anybody wants to get any gear, I've posted the link in the chat, and as Chris says, we'll put it maybe up in the morning. We'll put it up on all our social media channels as well. So if you want to get it, the gear looks good, and hopefully, as I say, in a week or two, we'll all have it on in one of our episodes.
Could do with them beanie hats tonight.
Yeah, could do it one in Chicago.
Yeah, summer football.
the hipsters, up the hipsters.
Just a word on Jane. Just a fair bit of comments coming in here as well for her. Just fair play to her as always. And it's just great to see that a lot of people with support for her in the comments tonight again. As per usual, Twitter doesn't want to send us any comments, so we'll try our best to keep an eye on the Twitter feed as it comes in. If there's anyone has posted there, just we can pull them up on the show.
Well, Donald commented and said he's being replaced.
There you go.
Which I think is a reference to you, Ross, and the good work that you're doing tonight.
I deserve the pizza.
He's aimed at the demands. I'll have to buy him a Tony's tomorrow.
You're after throwing a fiver under the camera, so you could say that as well, wasn't it?
You tried to pick it up as well.
I think we let Ross, instead of going our usual where everybody gets to pick the man of the match, we let Ross pick who his thoughts were on man of the match, and hopefully it matches with someone else, or else Chris, you could be the next choice. But Ross, do you want to pick on who you thought was man of the match?
Pick a few and then tell us who your man of the match was. Who played well?
I'll pick 4.
Right,
I'll pick
4. Okay.
Leahy, Doyle, Adams, and Williams.
And who do you
All
think
right.
deserves to get man of the match?
Leahy.
Why?
He was making the runs, getting the crosses in, passing. Thought he was good. Very good.
It's fair
Leahy, man of the
analysis.
match. Yeah, straight to the point.
Yes.
Yeah, telling you, if we could just do this from now on. Well, look, I think one person picked Leahy as the man of the match, didn't they? So, Eamon Collins, we're going to give you the award tonight at a free pizza. Even
there
though
we
you
go.
did say sing leave van. Don't know why that was so hard to get out there, but even though you said that, we threw Leahy in after, so we'll give you that, and you can thank Ross for your pizza.
There you go. Ross wants a slice.
Yeah. Exactly.
Brilliant. So look, it's great to have the competition like that running throughout this season again. So a big thank you to Tony's Pizzeria as well for backing us again this year. People come for the chat, but they stay for the pizza. Am I right, lads?
I think so. Yeah. People come for the pizza. Then when it's done, they all leave. But no, I think look, it's good to have Player Fit on board sponsoring us this year. It's nice to have Tony's back, and we will have another sponsor in a couple of weeks. And just kind of echoing a lot of, what Jane said earlier about trying to be this community thing. I think when we announce our next sponsor, it's going to also be for a charitable cause. So we're looking forward to in the next couple of weeks announcing that too. And just before we go on to next week, I think, isn't it great to see the club getting more involved in community stuff again? And it's again, I think we've shouted about it in every episode that we had last year, but it just feels, and again, I wasn't there tonight, but it feels like little things like the support they're giving Women's Aid this month.
Yeah,
it seems to be bringing that community feel back, and you could just kind of feel, at least from what I was listening to, you could feel that there was good vibes around Oriel tonight.
Yeah, the first three people I seen was Colin Murphy, Simon Blackmore, and Martin Connolly, and even Martin was, walking around the stadium during the game and stuff like that, and just to see owners or people that's heavily involved in the club back there, it's just great that there's the connection there again. Like you can see it, and then first initiative was Women's Aid, and it's a great cause. Like it's just a feel good factor about the place back again, and it's still early. I'm sure it's going to go from strength to strength.
Yeah, I think, even from regards of my and your work, Steph, with Head in the Game, the Head in the Game logo is going to be featured in every program for the season as well. So,
brilliant.
It's just, as I say, it's the little things that make a big difference, isn't it? It goes beyond the results on the pitch. So being able to kind of give back to the community by the club is just something great, and it's something that's been missing over the last 18 months. So happy days, long may it continue.
Look at this, the charitable stuff just keeps flowing tonight, lads.
That's brilliant. Fair play, Eamon. So Eamon is going to give his pizza to Women's Aid Dundalk. So Jane, if Jane's still listening in, or we can chat to Jane. We'll organise that pizza to be sent down to the good people at Women's Aid Dundalk.
Yeah, I think even if we could drop it down to like Jane just said, that there's women in there who are taking calls and chatting and everything. If that can cheer up their day even by just dropping down a wee pizza, I think that would be a fantastic thing to do. So fair play to Eamon for that idea. Fair play to you. You know what I actually thought though? Just when you're saying the real good, feel good vibes back around Oriel, and obviously there was that unfortunate incident that was breaking the second half where the ambulance came into the shed and someone was taken away, but they seemed to be able to get into the ambulance of their own accord, which is always a good sign. But I think just the fact that the whole shed just applauded straight away, as soon as he got into it, there was a big round of applause, and the way was cleared for the ambulance to leave again. Once again, it's just it's a horrible thing that happened, that someone needed medical attention, but the fact that everyone just gave them a round of applause, I'm sure the person in the back of the ambulance must have got a little lift from that, saying, like, everyone's there with me. And it's a nice little vibe, to come out what could have been and hopefully isn't anything too serious for that person. But I think it's just part of the good vibes around.
Absolutely, it is. Ross, you're just getting all the praise tonight.
He's brimming with confidence here. I'm going to have to bring him down a peg or two.
We're going to have to negotiate a contract for you now after this. But I suppose looking ahead to next week, we're home to Derry, isn't it? Is it home to Derry next week? So, as Steph said, there's a lot more familiar faces coming down than there is unfamiliar, from the manager right through the squad. It kicks off our season. What are you expecting? It's probably one of the two toughest games we were going to get to kick off the season. So, Chris, what's your how do you see it going, especially after seeing tonight?
Yeah, look, I think you've got to take tonight in its own merits. There's players like Andy Boyle who's just trying to get minutes into their legs tonight, and looked pretty assured when he came on, pretty confident. And there's lads who are still getting to grips with what's been expected of them, positions they're playing. We might have one or two, especially if Leahy's injury is ending too bad, which we may have to plug in and fill around. But looking at the opposition, you would say probably Derry have done a lot of good business. A lot of money gone into the club, and from chatting to everyone, you would say they're thereabouts for a title challenge possibly this year. So on the basis of that, they're not going to be an easy game by any means, and Derry never are anyway when they come to Oriel. But you would say that this could be a particular challenging start to the season for us. But look, it's that sort of a league. We all know that opening fixtures can often throw up a surprise too. So I think if we're just competitive in this game, we could get something out of it. We're talking about Derry being a potential title challenge, but that's all on paper. It's not, it's not on merit just yet. From them, it may very well be, but I think at that moment, everyone's equal. We're all in the same points here to start the season off. So why not go for it? And it could just be one of those nights, start of the season, and someone makes a name for themselves on that Dundalk team and really embeds themselves with the Dundalk fans. So I'm sure there'll be one or two welcomes, let's just say, for a few returning natives, let's say.
Yeah, I'd say the pigs' heads, all the butchers around town have been told not to sell any next week. But Steph, having gone through pre-seasons before, and at a time where there probably was that, you'd have 4 or 5 players who would join another club. We haven't seen that in some time. And do you think that'll be any kind of advantage to Dundalk, that they would know these players? Like, some of the players would be able to match up because they've been in training with Duffy and McElhaney and some of these lads for the last couple of years. Do you think there's any advantage to that, or no? Or would that be thrown out the window now? It's a new manager, it's a new club though, with new playing style.
Yeah, look, if most of the players we've brought in are sort of new players anyway. Like, Benson was with Pats, they would have played a sort of similar system to what we're probably going to play. But I look, on this sort of game here, I think if the crowd really gets up for from the start, and we do get a good start, if we can go ahead in the game, I think we'll definitely get a result out of it. I think just everything, like tying in a few ex-players coming back, the manager was with us for a while. A lot, like, if the crowd can get in behind us, I think it'll definitely, the 12th man will definitely be a factor in the game. But in these sort of games, you might know, but most of the players in the league will sort of know each other anyway, so you'll sort of know how you play against a certain player who has pace, who's tricky. Some of our players might be a little unknown. I know a lot of the clubs do the homework on each other. Even O'Donnell was up at, I think Waterford were playing somebody today, and he was up at that game earlier. So there is a lot of homework done on the rest of the clubs, and you'll have his scouts at different games that they would have had in pre-season. But it's just the opening game of the season. It could just be a magic night in Oriel from what I'm thinking about. I think we might go in as underdogs in the game, but if we can match them and go ahead, I think we'll definitely get a result out of it.
Here's one, because of the one thing that we were going back and forth, and I know, Pingu, you probably want to wrap this up quickly because you have another engagement, so we'll do this quickly. But I think, who do you start in goal? Because although Shepherd has started 2 games in a row, I've seen very little of him. Like, he hasn't been overly tested, I don't think, in either. Like the Bowls match, like everything they hit just happened to go in, but I don't think he was at fault for too much, and he pulled off 1 or 2 good saves in that. Tonight, the only thing, you know, he had to really do was just pick the ball out of the net that one time. Or do you go with Cherry, who's, you know, a staple of the league, and you can, you know, hang your hat on him and know what you're going to get out of the performance? Who would you go for, Pingu?
Look, it's hard for me to call because I haven't seen any of the games. As I say, I wasn't there tonight, but by all accounts, he wasn't tested. But you know, the lads tonight on commentary were saying all the noises coming out of Oriel Park is that Shepherd's very good, and if he signed as number 1, you want to back him off the bat. Do you know what I mean? And we know what, and Stevie O'Donnell will know what Peter Terry is like. So if it doesn't work in game 1, there's still 30 odd games to go. Right. You know that you can change it. So for me, if you've signed someone as number 1, you have to back him at the beginning of the season. That's what I would think on a coach's point of view, how it would go.
Steph?
I think it was very telling that he gave each of them a half, and that sort of tells me that he's on the side of it. He's on the side of who number 1 is yet, but whoever starts on Friday night, he'll be the number 1, because once you start a season, I was always told, look, you have a number 1 keeper, barring catastrophe or injury or suspension. You sort of, you know, you always go back to your number 1 choice. But I think Shepherd dropped the cross in the first half when he was the lead to the goal. I'm not sure.
Well, he was not in the net for the goal. He was way out.
I think he was kind of thinking it was going to be a free kick coming from him, but you know, it's a physical enough league, as you know, Steph, and
he doesn't have
really stepping up to play, you know, men's football, that he probably an element he's not used to. Look, and some of the players in the league have every trick in the book, from corner kicks and stuff like that. But look, he dropped one, and I don't know whether he was a little bit shaky, but he doesn't seem to have that much of a presence that you'd have of a big keeper like you'd have with Alan Manis. Like, he has a presence about him, maybe just his sheer size. But look, Shepherd's only young, and everything I've heard about him has been that he's a very good keeper. He looked composed on the ball.
I think loan was a perfect deal instead of buying him and then risking it. Yeah, it could have been cost 3 million, which would have been most of our budget. A loan was a clever deal, better than.
Yeah, I think he signed though. He isn't a loan deal though.
I think it was free transfer, wasn't it?
Free transfer. Yeah. Look.
It's one of those things though, Steph, isn't it? Like, a young keeper, do you throw him in, like Pingu says, and then you stick with him and he learns and he gets used to the league? Or do you let an experienced keeper like Cherry take the lead on this and then say, you know, here's the bar, you get to it, you know, this, and if you're a better keeper than Cherry, you'll take over this. And, you know, do you go with you're tried and tested the start and then let him chip away and really push Cherry to get in there? Or do you go, right, well, you're in from the start and Cherry's my backup again? But, you know, he ended up saving the season last year. It'll be tough on him.
Yeah, look, I from personal point of view, I think he'll go with Shepherd. I think he's obviously brought him in because he thinks he's going to be the number 1. Just the fact that they played half each just put the doubt into my mind that he's still not 100% certain who he wants to start. But I think he will go with Shepherd, and I think he will back him. Or like having a run of bad games, I think he'll stick with him, and then Cherry will be there as backup. I think Cherry sort of didn't think he'd be playing even last season. Yeah, and then he got in. Even they brought in that other lad Yates, and he played
Yeah.
one game, and then Cherry was back in again. So, look, we have someone there back up, and we know he can do a job. But if we're looking for towards the future for building something for the next couple of years, I think the thinking is Shepherd's obviously going to be number one.
Tingu, we can wrap it now. I know you're probably looking at the time.
Perfect. No, you're grand. No, well, I suppose, look, moving on to next week, predictions real quick. I'm going to go 2-1 Dundalk. Chris?
1-0.
1-1. Steph?
And I'll go 1-0 Dundalk.
Ross, what is the score going to be?
I'm going to say 1-1. We're only going to slip up because we need an attacking midfielder. Someone like Daryl Horgan would play that spot, I think.
He's getting really into it. We might have to share this with the people in Oriel Park just to see if we can get you a job up there as a chief scout for Stevie O'Donnell. But no, thanks a million to everybody for listening in tonight. Thanks to Jane for coming on. I just want to throw up this one comment before we go. Frank Carolan is actually going to sponsor Pizza for Women's Aid as well, so we'll figure that out through Jane, if that's all right, Chris, if you want to look after that, and for the pizza that Eamon won. So thanks again for that gesture. Fair play to everybody.
Fair play, Eamon. And Frank, obviously.
Yeah. I like Eamon's second comment there, by the way. Duffy's been sent off in a 3-0 win for Dundalk.
We can only hope, Eamon.
James optimism rubbing off on everyone tonight.
But no, thanks for everybody. Ross, thanks very much to you for coming on. I think that you're going to get us some of the biggest views we've ever got, I think, after tonight. Should we let you wrap it up, will we?
Yeah, I don't mind.
What was that?
Yeah.
No Ross, no party.